Welcome to Doctor On Call with your host, DocGriffon. The doctor will be with you momentarily. Our guest this evening is the Savage Beardbarian. For your safety, please remain seated with arms, hands, and feet inside the vehicle at all times until the ride comes to a complete stop. Doc Griffin? Paging Doc Griffin, you're needed in the OR. Stat!
And welcome, everybody. And thank you very much, Nurse Wicked, for bringing us in today. That's right. Today, we'll be talking with the Savage Beardbarian. But we're going to be stripping off the paint, setting the battle axes aside, as it were, and talking to the creator behind the Savage Beardbarian. So
Woo!
I would like to welcome Beardy himself.
Hello. Thank you for having me on for this, mate.
Oh, it is my pleasure, honestly and truly. I know we were talking previously before, and I enjoy your content. I like your content. It's got some incredibly biting wit that's mixed in with a lot of current satire. And in this age of the IBS, or I'm going to shout at you, you're going to shout at me for 2 hours and nothing ever gets resolved, it's nice that you can drop in someone like the Savage Beardbarian who takes a wry look at everything.
I don't know. I totally just yell at things for like 2 hours straight and accomplish nothing in the process. It's just shit like my wagon wheel fell off and I lost some cocoa beans.
Yeah, but that does make a point. It's like it's not like whether you're trying to push an ethno-state. You're pushing together not only real life problems, but you're also taking that fantasy jump as well. And I will say, honestly, you do it just as well as Magog does.
Thank you.
You guys are beautiful satirists. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to get you onto the show, so we can sit back, talk about the things that you do, how you do it, and a little bit of why. I certainly want to start off with, and this is usually my normal inroad question, and that is, what did you want to be when you were a kid growing up?
I wanted to be a fighter pilot.
Really?
Yep. I followed that dream straight to the end of the road until I was 16 years old, while I was in ground school with air cadets that I was pushing along that course. And during my time at ground school, I hit a growth spurt. And at the time, the maximum height limitations for fighter pilots was 5'4", and I shot past it. And so at the age of 16, having had a growth spurt and not been a complete manlet, gave up my dreams of being a fighter pilot.
So wait a minute, you're telling me that Destiny could be a fighter pilot and you couldn't?
If he had the brain for the math for it, absolutely. But it's a lot of physics, it's a lot of fucking math, it's a lot of mechanical like, you need to know how to repair every aspect of your plane in the event of a crash. There's a lot of knowledge involved and a lot of dedication. You got to really want it. So
you're saying that you're saying that he couldn't gaslight his plane into working?
No, unfortunately not.
Well, let's start off. Where were you born and raised? We know that you are Canadian. That you are.
I was born out on a military base, or just off of it in Ontario. Military brats, woo! That's the fighter pilot dreams. But being a military brat, I moved everywhere all over the country. So every couple of years we'd jump to, from Ontario to Newfoundland, then over to Alberta, then over to BC, then out to Saskatchewan. And it was just constant ever-changing until my teen years, where I started to settle down a little bit more. But on average, I changed cities every 4 years and have maintained that most of my life.
So would you say that being a military brat gave you the availability to structure yourself better, or did you lean away from it?
The fun thing was I came from a military family, but by the time that my parents left the military, they both became hard, staunch, anti-military people. So my wanting to join the military was not okay. So I lived in a
Oh,
home that had very little structure. I made most of my own structure. I've for a very long time been very independent and driven by my own morals and ethics and all that. It's yeah, no, they didn't want that for me at all.
wow. That seems like an amazing dichotomy, and you actually had to live through the fact of that 180 happening.
Oh yeah, well they made the 180 before I started before I was old enough to have memories.
Oh, okay.
But then after that period of time, they kept on doing the shifting. So they started settling down just before I was around 5, but then trying to settle down after coming out of a nomadic lifestyle with the military is very difficult. So it was a matter of trying to find the right city with the right housing and the right place, and the drifting started happening, and it just you find one city that's kind of nice, but then you go from house to house to house renting while looking for the right place to buy, and yeah, always moving, always fucking moving.
Now, now I had a different setup as a child, but we still moved a lot. Usually because we couldn't do the rent paying thing. But I found that kind of hectic trying to make friends over and over again. And I hope you're kind of the same with, once I got to a new place, it was the showman, trying to open up and get friends as quickly as possible. And,
Mm-hmm.
not necessarily being the class clown, but maybe the class comedian.
Well, I ended up kind of doing the same thing, except I was trying to be the class Leonardo of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, kicking butt and taking names of all the evil guys and leading everybody in a revolution to a greater life.
Nice.
I was Captain Charisma, but I wanted to try and do it through leadership roles. That only continued while I was a youth. As soon as I started becoming an adult, that started slip, or even not even an adult. While I was still just in my late teens, it started slipping away. And now at this point, I just don't give a flying fuck. I just go places, and I'm not a dick, and people like me, and that's good enough.
Well, now, what was the first thing that inspired you to get into the more creative side? Because I know that when you do the moving around stuff, you have to get creative, but you either get creative violently or you get creative on a canvas or a stage.
Um, Sort of both and neither for me. Not in the violent side, but the canvas and stage sort of thing. Poverty motivated the shit out of me. I couldn't have toys, so I took the broken things around the house and I started making toys. And then when I finished making toys, I'd start making costumes to go with it, trying to dress like my favorite characters in cartoons and stuff. And that just over time, with the charismatic leader personality, led to, with a love of music, getting into singing and performance dance. And I hated performance, but I liked the performance arts. So I would learn all these things, but never occupy them. It wasn't until much later in life, after much pushing, that I got into the performance side and actually showing people what I knew how to do. But yeah, poverty motivated me to be creative and to come up with these inventive solutions.
Yeah, collecting skills. I found that when you come from a lower income bracket, that there's more of an importance, at least with the generation that I went through, and in some certain places that you really need, even if they seem to be useless skills at the point, you still want to collect them.
You never know when you're going to need them, and adaptability is your real shot at survival and success. If there's an opportunity, you got to be ready to take it.
So did you do plays and musicals as a kid?
I did a couple. Mostly, I just kind of made costumes and stood in the back and did like silly holiday stuff until I got into choir and singing, and then I just did music stuff.
See, so people out there listening, real men do know how to sew.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I skipped this is the funny thing. Here's where I emasculate the fuck out of myself. Because I kept on jumping from school to school, I got to choose what courses I was taking when it came to the ones that they give you like half a year in one thing and half in another, like shop and home ec.
Yeah.
Every time I'd change a school and they went, well, which one do you want to do? I'd take home ec. And I'd always get shit from every other dude in the school. They'd be like, hey, whoa, bro, what the fuck? You don't know how to work a fucking welding torch? The fuck is up, faggot? Like, what's up? I'm making cupcakes with your bitch! You little fucking frosted blonde-haired 90s motherfucker. I wanted to be a woman's man so bad, so I stuck where all the women were. If I knew their arts, I would bring them to me.
Yeah, I can say I did the home ec thing too in the sewing class, and I was never without a date to the dance.
Yeah, exactly. Like they've been incredibly useful skills for me. I love cooking for myself. I love making my own costumes and like I buy clothes once every 4 or 5 years because I take such good care of them and mend them. The money saved there is fantastic, including on nice stuff. Like I've got really nice designer Italian trench coat I bought a decade ago almost. That's almost fucking mint condition. I've got a really nice pinstripe suit. Oh my, just you learn those skills, shit lasts forever, and you can be thrifty as fuck. Plus, all the women are like, "Oh my god, I don't have to mend his pants. I'm so wet." It's this like win-win.
Yeah, and on that, I'm sorry, the chat has advised me. I've neglected to say tonight. Tonight, Dr. On Call is sponsored by New Amsterdam Vodka, Pineapple New Amsterdam Vodka. It's the vodka you drink when you only have $6 for a pint. So everyone, tonight I'm drinking pineapple vodka with pineapple juice, and I'm calling it the Polynesian Double Down. So if you would, please join me and Beardy in taking a drink to tonight's show.
Oh, twist my rubber arm, why don't you?
Ooh. Tangy.
Oh.
Better than chicken. And, of course, well, okay, now one thing I definitely want to know is what was your most memorable role, or the role that you cherished the most?
All right, so this is this has slipped out a couple times on social media so far, my fascination with this piece, but my most prideful role is that of Gideon of 7 Brides for 7 Brothers, the youngest brother, in a terrible rendition put on when I was a very young kid at one of the schools I was at. It's my favorite musical, it's my favorite film, and I fucking loved it. I got to be this derpy little shithead. It was wonderful.
No, that's a good thing. I mean, because really, it's awesome to be able to get on stage and lose yourself. I know, and you can correct me if I'm wrong on this, but having to run through impoverished times when you get on the stage, all of that just goes away. I mean, you literally are able to become something else and be okay with it.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on where your head's at with it, but I can absolutely see it. That's definitely the case popularly. It's not the case for me because I'm just weird. But I can never let go of my conscious problems. I just maintain my awareness of them and their pain and suffering while doing other stuff. I'm unable to let go in the same way other people can, but I know that people can, and it's beautiful.
Yeah, I will say, you know, drugs hadn't been in my life at that point, and that was really one of my escapes. I mean, that was literally my drug, singing, trying not to have girls laugh at me while I dance, acting, you know, that kind of thing. So what kind of kid were you in school as far as grade wise?
I actually had pretty shit grades up until around 6th grade, when one of my teachers taught me how I learned with a biology course thing we were doing in Catholic school, where she just went, okay, for this fun thing, oh great, I have the retard, you quiet down, you might like this, we're going to make dioramas where you get to make up your own species and come up with all the details for it, and you do a little thing and show it off to the class. And as soon as I got to make something out of my hands with it and come up with something out of my imagination, I just shit fired off. And after that, I went from having D's and C's in everything to getting A's and A pluses in almost every single course except French. I suck at French.
Yeah, the only thing I know how to say is Il y a Michel Tête de Patate, which is you are a Mr. Potato Head. That's pretty much it. Or si les grands patronneurs She has a big chest.
Omelette du fromage. That's my one. I thank Dexter's
Cheese
Lab
omelet?
for that. Yeah, yeah.
I do also know how to say I can't speak your language in 7 different languages. I can't say
Oh,
anything
that's
else, but
fantastic.
je ne parle pas français. But so you were achieving. You were going A's and B club. You started thinking about college.
Oh, hell no. I was, at that point in time, it was still the 90s, and all I was thinking about was girls. I was just taking every course I could to spend more time with the girls that were hitting puberty earlier that had the bigger titties because I wanted to be around them. And I didn't start thinking about college or a life outside of that until I was around 15 or 16. And at that point, I was actually looking at becoming a software engineer I wanted to get in with a Canadian gaming company, which I'm glad wasn't an option because, my god, they all fucking suck now. I would have ended up working at like BioWare Edmonton or something and been a part of the atrocity that was fucking Mass Effect Andromeda or some shit.
Well, and you grew up when the gaming industry was actually hot. They actually gave a shit about making games for people that they could enjoy and not have to wait 2 months down the road for a patch.
Mm-hmm. It was during the era of single product release. Here's your thing. Oh, hey, here's this amazing game. We've called it StarCraft. Here's the whole game. Hey, we went ahead and thought of this cool update to this game, but instead of charging you for a patch or just loading that, we made an entirely new game, the same length and duration as the other one, with all these additions to it. Enjoy that too. I miss those. But unfortunately, what pushed me away from wanting that career path was around the same time that I could have settled into it. Was when like Halo started coming out and Halo 2, and all these game devs were getting super fucked during all these buyouts. Everybody was losing out on money. The industry seemed like it was going to collapse for a couple of years there, and that's when I started going, oh fuck this shit. And after that, I had no idea. I just went right back into jack of all trades mode.
So what was your favorite game to play? The one you always came back to?
Buck Rogers and the Countdown to Doomsday. It was a wonderful second ed, like AD&D style RPG in the Buck Rogers universe on the Sega Genesis.
Oh, I loves me some Sega Genesis. My favorite was either Master of Monsters or Romance of the Three Kingdoms.
Fair.
So you thought about it for a little while, and you said, yeah, I don't think this is quite right for me. Where did your life path take you from there?
Well, about 3 months after coming to that conclusion, I was disowned by my family and discarded in the mountains in the middle of winter, and my whole world was turned upside down. And I'd like to take a minute while you're sitting right here to tell you how I became a homeless youth in Canada's mountain range, and it fucking sucked. But it took me about 10 years to pull myself out of it.
Oh man, I would say that would be pretty goddamn stressful.
Yeah, really threw things for a loop. I mean, I'm only really getting back on my feet now through this production.
Well, and it's not. I know there's a lot of people out there, especially the millennials and the zillennials and the people that I call Generation Anon, that really don't have to struggle, that don't have to, find food, find shelter, keep from literally dying outside in the cold. And I would love to be able to tell them to be able to measure their stress levels and then measure stress levels in a real world so they can, toughen up a little bit, because I'm sure you didn't.
Sure as hell, when I was fucking 17, 18, well, I had friends that helped me out early on. I had places to stay. Some nights I'd be out on the street. Some nights I'd be at a friend's place on the couch. Eventually I started working my way into staying on people's couches. But back then, when I was first going down, I thought my problems were the worst problems in the world. Then a few years later, drugs and other shit started becoming a problem, and I thought that my problems were the worst problem in the world. That's just the naivety of youth. that's not something that we can slap into people by putting them into negative circumstances. No matter how bad my shit got, I always thought that my problems were the worst. And that's just something that comes with being a teenager and a young adult. And even with folks that take on adulthood at a really young age, it's still, your brain doesn't finish developing until you're 26-ish years old, and you're still going to be stuck in those weird throes of emotional chaos until then. And unfortunately, that's part of why I don't give a lot of credit or weight to the opinions of people who are under 26. And I get a lot of, like, grr, ageism responses from people in my personal life about it. But when I go, hey, no, I understand your opinion, I understand your emotional situation, I'm just making my own decision and ignoring your opinion on the matter because it's what I'm choosing to do. It's about me, not you. And they, oh, okay, it's fine. But really, the fucking brain is in the throes of insanity before reaching adulthood. We can wish as much change on people as we want, but even if we shot their family in front of them and threw them to the streets with their feet cut off at the ankles and said, learn to survive, they would still be stuck in naive idiocy until they hit adulthood properly.
Well, yeah, I think those generations have been desensitized a lot to, and my biggest mantra that was given to me by my grandfather when I was young was, okay, so you're hurt. It doesn't matter how many times you get knocked down. It's how many times you choose to get back up. And you don't let anybody pick you up, but you can let people help you walk to get to the destination, but getting back on your feet, that's you. And I think there's not as much struggle out there. And I think that's another reason why the Beardbarian character kind of strikes a chord with the younger people. Just the fact that your character is incredibly brazen about what he believes. Mm-hmm. And I think that's eminently translatable to more than one of the lost generations that we're looking at right now. I mean, there's very few characters out there right now who have the, fuck this, I'm going to fight it.
Yeah.
I mean, most of the people are like, you got to see my point. You have to pity me. You have to cradle me. And it's like, no, life's hard. Wear a cup. And I like that your character has no excuses about that.
Well, yeah, it's when you're a barbarian, it's either you're gonna fight it or you're gonna run from it like a bitch. What you gonna do? Either way, you got to make the choice.
Yeah, and it's and I mean, I'm taking the point to say that you did that on purpose by developing this character, and we'll get into character development a little bit later. Mm-hmm. But you literally have a character that's a practical application. That's fight, fuck, or flee.
Yep, absolutely.
And I think that's brilliant. And some people get lost in satire, and they don't see the additional layers of the onion. Mm-hmm. But before I get too far past that, and we jump into the characterization, what was that turning point that got you set on the path that you're on now?
Define path.
Well, eventually becoming a YouTuber, eventually having more stability in your life, what seemingly having more control.
Of your life? Giving full hardcore into spite and absolutely pouring myself into this idea of vengeance so hard that I became such a monster for a brief fraction of a second that just reflecting on myself in that moment, I burst into laughter, stopped taking myself seriously, and started doing what I can do instead of grieving what I couldn't.
Wow, that's a hard turn, brother. That's a very hard turn.
I go balls in. I'm very insular about it, but when it comes to facing things, I try to be as dead on as I can, because I'm too oblivious to do it the coy way.
Well, that's what wifey said, that you always go balls in. So congratulations.
Yeah, balls deep every time.
But okay, so when did you get to the point where you believed you had enough stability to chase the dream that you're now living?
Oh, never. Absolutely never. This current dream that I'm chasing was not the result of a positive thing or anything good. I left my job that I had had for 3 years because I'd had enough of the corruption and when I say corruption, I mean it genuinely, of the owners of the pawn shop that I worked at. And I said some things that could never have been taken back, and I said what needed to be said, and then resigned and left. And we moved to this small mountain town because there seemed to be a lot of work. I came up here, I immediately got a job, and this job was as a subcontractor on a farm. And during that time, I tore this fucking muscle right in the hand here, the one that connects the thumb to it, and that's still an injury that I'm healing today, and that was 2 years ago now almost. Or no, a year and a bit ago. And this was in March before I started the Beardy channel. And I tore that muscle so bad that I can't, I'm still training it to be able to even, open bottles. And most of the work that I did here, I had to, do very gently. With either hand, I have to wear a wrist brace a lot of the time. It was pretty fucking bad. But I haven't been able to do any work since. So as soon as that happened, I went, okay, what the fuck can I do? I can't do labor anymore. I've been a pawnbroker for too long. I'm too fucking grumpy to go ahead and do retail sales again. What the fuck do I have left that I can do? And the missus looked at me and said, well, you got that camcorder still, don't you? And I went, well, yeah. She goes, well, why don't you start doing stuff on YouTube and making a series? Because I used to work with a couple different indie groups. I was I'm a props guy and a costume guy and a set deck guy, and I'd often go over scripts, and I did everything except for acting, and I'd sometimes work as an extra. And after tearing my hand and having nothing to do, having no options left for money, I went, fuck it, why not? Let's see if I can do this whole acting and doing a fantasy series thing on my own. I don't have a cameraman, I don't have an editor, director, any of these guys, but I've been watching them for fucking months now. I've seen how they do their job. I know how it looks on paper and how to direct things. Fuck it, I'll just do it myself. And that's what led me here now. It hasn't been chasing the dream, it's been doing whatever it takes to survive. And I love doing this. This is fantastic. But this was the result of going, there's nothing else left for me to do to make money to live. So I'm going to fucking do it, and I'm going to do it hard. That's why I take this show so seriously and try to constantly make things better. I'm genuinely trying to make a living here while I can keep strengthening my hand so I can go back to doing other work if I need to. I don't want to be some retard bussing tables, and when I say retard, I mean I'm a retard. I have brain damage. I don't want to be the retard bussing tables when I can be doing something better and more enjoyable and more productive for everybody with the skills that I have.
Well, and Ghastly mentioned when we interviewed him that the only reason why he's where he is because he wanted it the most. And I see the same thing.
The hungry wolves get to the kill fastest, right?
Yep. Yeah, and I see that same thing in you. A lot of people, the greatest object lesson that I've seen from the people that I've talked to, both YouTube celebs and other celebs, is the fact that they really wanted it. This was their desire. This was their dream. They bared all teeth and just went forward. Claws came out, and they were willing to fight for what they want. You're not asking anybody to drop anything into your lap. And as a matter of fact, we'll get to that conversation in just a little bit. Yeah, but I'm baiting it. But it seems what you do with a passion, and you always. I would say I've never been disappointed by a video that you've done. Now, I may have had minor disagreements with what you were saying, but there is no doubt that there is passion backing what you're doing. How do you sustain that?
This is all the stuff that I love doing. All of these silly shenanigans, a lot of the practical jokes and stuff. And when I say practical, of course, I don't mean like, stick a whoopee cushion, Beardy sits on it. The physical humor that I do. A lot of these things are just part of how I live. I'm a very jolly person for a hermit. I don't like people. I stick to myself. But the people I keep around me, I'm constantly saying silly shit to and coming up with these little adorable things. You know, leaving notes and setting up little setups in the house full of, you know, flower petals and candy and stuff to make people happy. And I like making people laugh a lot. And when it comes to coming up with stuff for Beardy, putting Beardy in a scenario is really a matter of going, well, what scenario do I want to go with today? What kind of humor am I feeling like today? But for the most part, it's just the silly shenanigans. It's the motivation of wanting to give people laughter that gets me going. It's just, what do I feel like making people giggle about? And because I'm driven by making people laugh and making their day a little bit better, it sustains me on that passionate end. I'm trying to the stuff where it's more for me and difficult is getting into introducing plot into things. The comedy's the easy part. It's the plot that requires some work.
Well, sure, but it seems like to me that you've played at least a little bit of D&D. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. That was definitely part of how I made friends and kept my shit going after I got thrown out on the streets.
So you know that the story never ends, and
exactly. There's always something to do.
And I certainly don't see an end for what you're doing right now. So let's talk a little bit about, you've got that camcorder in front of you. You've got the encouragement of the people that love you. How did you come up with the Beardbarian?
Well, the Beardbarian, the channel itself and the name existed as something else other than the barbarian character when it first started. I chose the name because I wanted to create a channel that was about sort of about traditional living, more about about the application of modern ethics and how to live a happy, meaningful life. It was going to be kind of a lifestyle piece, mostly through blogs and little bits, and I was having fun with it. And then I started jumping on random streams and stuff, and there was one that I got on that Magog was on. Magog saw my name, and he went, I don't know what the fuck you're doing for a channel, but with a name like that, you need to be dressing up as a barbarian and telling people your opinions on things. And I went, okay.
Well, that's what happens when military guys interfere with your life.
Well, I'm an improv method guy. So when somebody goes, here's a curveball, I go, all right, no problem, let's do this. One of my fun outlets before this show was doing improv music, where I'd get together for jam sessions out at like LARPs and SCA events. I'd dress up in a silly bard costume, which is like a lot of the costumes I had beforehand, because I have a trunk full of stuff for going to different events, getting drunk and putting on a show and singing and dancing and all the stupid shit. But this was just, yeah, I just threw this shit on. Sorry, my brain skipped over itself for a second there. I forgot where I was going with that.
No, the basis of how the Beardbarian came about, and there's quite a bit of evolution. And I do have to just stop one moment and say, if there are people out in the audience who like the Beardbarian, want to support the content, support the artists themselves, all the links are in the description to Beardbarian's Twitter, YouTube, BitChute, Streamlabs, Patreon. If you feel like giving, make sure you do it with one of those, because with an artist, you also have to be able to give them positive feedback. Let them know what you like, and be able to... That is what gives any artist buoyancy. Knowing that they are being supported and urged on, not necessarily monetarily, but definitely in the things that they're doing and how they do them. And you can't really tell an artist how to do things, but if you like what they do, then certainly you need to speak up. You need to pass them along to friends. Say, hey, this video was fucking hilarious. Like, I don't know how many people I passed around your video of I'm Gonna Fuck Your Mother.
Oh, fuck, that song was so much fun to do. I'm doing a full album for this next Christmas.
Oh, yeah?
I'm gonna do a Beardy Christmas album, and it's gonna be stupid and great.
That sounds like a grand idea.
I hate Christmas with a burning passion. It's when all the bad shit in my life has happened. Every year Christmas has been terrible. But I'm getting over it by writing terrible Christmas songs. And this last year it was 1. This year it's going to be, I don't know, 10 to 12.
Well, I don't know. I don't have a very good voice, but if you need some warbly backing vocals, I'll be happy to throw some your way.
I'm expecting to lure a lot of my local bros that I get drunk with and used to do sing-songs with into doing this album after how well the last Christmas song went over. And I'm anticipating a lot of dudes locally in silly costumes drunkenly falling over each other, belting out these video classics. So,
are you going to make one like a pirate shanty then?
I've got a couple of songs that are shanties, actually. I mostly write shanties. But those will be coming a little bit later. I need to write some more originals for those first. But there is also a foot-stomping fireside shanty-style collection of Beardy songs that's coming together. There will be the series, there will be the music, there will be the art, there will be beards for all occasions.
And honestly, I am so looking forward to that. I love it when I see artists being able to stretch, not just being trapped within a character, but being able to say, okay, well, I can do that, but check this out. I can do this too. Cause it really made me smile when I listened to the "I'm Gonna Fuck Your Mother" tune. It really did.
Good fun.
And so you've got your character down, and let's get into the bad part here. Everything seems to be going forward, but you get a little tragedy in your life, and things kind of get tight and threaten the sphere of the Beardbarian. Please go into this however you would like to.
Oh yeah, totally. The missus and I have when we moved to this mountain town, because I'm living up here now where we're doing this whole thing. We've had a lot of difficulties with housing. The whole province is having a massive crisis for housing, including the people buying houses market on top of the rental market. There's an 11.5% availability of housing versus the percent, 100% being the people who are looking. You take the houses off that market, there's around a 5.5 to 2.5% availability depending upon where you go. On top of that, there's the issue of there being no work. The places where there's places to live, there's no fucking work. We're having a huge crisis out here right now.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really fucking bad. And it's not that there's no work, it's that there's nowhere to live. I had an amazing job down that city. I've had wonderful job offers in other places. But the places where there's job offers, there's nowhere to live. And the places where there's somewhere to live, there's nowhere to work. So we ended up staying with some family of the missus, and the first bit of family that we stayed with reneged on a whole bunch of their agreements with us and violated our rental agreement with them. But it ended in us moving out of there and me not being able to stream for a while. Then we came to this other house where we started caretaking for a senior member of the family who's got dementia, and it's been getting severely worse over the last several years, and nobody was really paying attention to it until we kind of swooped in and were like, hello, we're here to help. And things got bad enough that the rest of the family was no longer able to provide assistance, and they were not willing to accept my money from YouTube as being an acceptable source of income with which to pay the rent. So they were trying to interfere with me continuing the series. At that point, I went ahead and said, you know what, fuck it, I'm moving out. I'll find another place. And they went, no, you can't move out. We need you to help with Grandma. So I started trying to come up with a middle ground. And that middle ground was when Failure and AP and everybody else jumped on board, when I was ready to just leave the missus here to help take care of Grandma, and I was going to move across the province to somewhere where there was work, live in a fucking tent because there's no houses, and just work my ass off, build up money, find somewhere to live until I found the right place that I could move the missus to. And I was just stubborn and stuck to it, and I put out a video saying, I'm sorry guys, I'm leaving. I'm going to try and do content as I can, but no more live streams. This is the life that's ahead of me. And the rest of them said, fuck no, that's not acceptable. We are making sure that we're going to spread word here and make sure that you can hopefully continue doing this. And after much fighting with the family and signing of documents and all these things, the missus and I are still taking care of Grandma. But now I have a secured rental of a studio space that I've completely fucking restructured and rebuilt. It turned into this amazing fucking thing.
Well, and I will say that I only harassed you through memes because of failure. But can we talk a little?
Dude, I saved a bunch of the memes that you posted. They were fucking great.
Well, I appreciate that, but this was a really good cause. And when I was talking to the failure, I did. A lot of people just don't understand that even if there's no true internet friends, that there are people out there who are willing to go the distance. I mean, the Gulf City boys and failure went from every interaction that I had with them, they went over and above because they saw value in you, not value that they could get out, but value in what you were doing.
Man, I was there was quite a few times when that shit, before they actually even convinced me to say okay, because it took them weeks to get me to say fine, I'll accept help. Everybody took their own part in talking me off a ledge on several different occasions, because I was ready to just say fuck it. It was either go live in a tent and work my ass off and suffer through it miserably, fuck up my hand even more, and maybe carve a life for the missus, maybe have a chance to have kids and live the rest of my life hating myself, or hang from a tree. And those guys worked really hard to make sure I wasn't hanging from a tree.
Well, and it's funny because I'd get some DMs from a failure going, almost got him.
He fucking pushed so hard. He fought so fucking hard for it. God damn.
Yeah, and I mean, regardless of all the bullshit that's going on here, the person that I know was literally putting out as much as he could to try to help. I hate using the term an internet friend, but he was busting balls because and so was Gasoline AP because they really wanted you to succeed, and there was a fear there. I can say this right now. There was a fear there that they thought maybe if you moved that you might give up, or that there might be a worse lifestyle that you might fall into.
Oh, there was definitely hard times ahead. I had no qualms with confessing that. I had to do some shady shit. Like early on when I was homeless before, and when dire straits hit, sometimes you got to do really dark things to survive, and that's part of why I work so hard to make people laugh now. We're all trying to escape something. Mine is insanity and having done bad things in order to survive.
Well, when we get off air, I can share one story with you. But I too had spent time homeless, and wow, that really gives you a perspective on the world and what morals that you're willing to bend. And those gentlemen stepping up with a couple other guys, but mostly that trinity was just like, we're not going to let this happen in any way. And I've never seen so much homo no homo love come out.
Yeah, it was pretty intense, and the most humbling part for me was that it wasn't out of nowhere. I talk with very few people because I'm a hermit and a recluse, and I hate talking to people. But I talk with these guys a fair bit more than I do anybody else, and I'm honest with them far more than I am with anyone else. And not in the sense that I tell lies, but that I don't tell people what I'm on. Fuck you, coffee pot. Sorry, just a second. Okay, it's done beeping.
The lovely coffee
I tell them more than I tell most people. I'm very secretive. I keep a lot of shit to myself. It's part of that whole nomad thing. I don't want to tell my life story 1,000,000 times over, so I'll just not tell any of it except for the amusing parts.
Well, and literally, if I can paint a picture to the audience, it was like you were down on the ground. They were standing there, come on, brother, get up. And when you did get up,
those motherfuckers are going, take my hand. I'm going, fuck you, I can stand up my own. They're going, no, you don't have legs. Fuck you, I can stand on my own. You don't have legs. Take my hand. I can stand on my own. Okay, help me. Oh, fuck.
It's just a flesh wound.
Exactly. It was me being a stubborn asshole and saying no, I do this on my own. I do because that's how I've lived for so long. Whenever I'm used to when somebody wants to help you, it's just a lure for them to use you to hurt you more. And these guys really
Oh,
for all
100%
the good I try and offer and represent, I'm not used to like I try to offer that, you know, the good dude perspective most of the time because it doesn't exist in most places elsewhere. So it was shocking and hard for me to accept it when receiving it in kind.
Well, because it's easier to push out the good and share it with others to make others feel good.
Oh,
Then, and since we've been in the situation, pretty much the same thing. It's the whole, okay, well, we're going to do something good for you. Well, what are you looking to get out of it? You know, what do you want?
It's never the first thought, but it's always there's always caution there.
Well, yeah, certainly. And when was that moment when you had these people around you, when the stream was going on, that you realized that, hey, they don't want anything out of it besides me making good out of this?
With these guys, there was never really that concern. With Ghastly and AP and Failure, when they were trying to say, let me help, the response I was having internally for the justification of saying no, because there's always got to be a justification internally to say no when somebody's saying, let me help you.
For sure.
Was, no, you guys need this more than I do right now. You need the support of your fans. You need the attention. I can do this on my own. I'm strong enough. You take care of you. I'll take care of me. It was this division of genuinely wanting people to take care of themselves. I'm very stubborn, and I do have the very strong philosophy of, if it's my problem, it's got to be my solution. And because this was my problem, I didn't want guys that have so much shit on their plates with their own lives to also think or concern themselves with my shit. Everybody's got their own difficulties. My shit is my shit to handle. I fucking hate it when people just want to talk about problems, but not address solutions. So I don't talk about problems, and I want people to keep their nose out of mine. I'll let them know when I've got a solution, and if I can't do it on my own, I'll let them know, but I always try and do it on my own. And AP and Ghastly and Failure were basically stepping into the middle of that and going, no, you're not allowed to try it on your own. You accept this right fucking now. And that's where the butting of heads was going. It was me trying to be independent in spite of it being the obvious choice to make of saying, okay, yes, fine, please, thank you. I was going, no, I must do it alone.
And it's hard. I mean, if you've been out on the streets, if you've been by yourself, literally doing the literal definition of the word surviving.
Yeah.
It's all, you know what? I got this far. I'm going to get farther on it. I don't know how far I'm going to get, but I'm going to do it on my own. I don't owe anybody anything except for myself. And there were people who just literally stepped up and said, we understand what you're doing. Stop being a dumbass. Let us help.
Exactly.
I mean, I've certainly been there myself. And let's talk about the marathon. Now, the expectations from yourself. Now, this may be a little bit embarrassing, so, you know, call me to the carpet on it. But what did you expect out of it? I mean, money-wise.
Oh, fuck. I was hoping, and this the genuine hope, and I told Failure this at the beginning. I was like, you know, a lot of people don't really watch my stuff right now. I mean, I don't have that big of an audience, so I don't expect people to come rushing in, Failure. But if I can get the damage deposit for a suite, I can take care of the rest myself, which was around $500, and I was hoping to get $500. Maybe $1,000. That was like, yeah, if I had that, I can take care of the rest on my own. That gets me where I need to go. That gets me off the island to the next town over, and I can start working, and that covers food for a bit. Yeah, I was expecting, if I was lucky, $500 to $1,000.
So you were thinking a K.
Canadian. So that's about $400 to $700 US.
So, when you broke the first goal, how shocked and surprised were you?
I wasn't on stream when it happened, and I'm grateful about that. I don't cry. The only time that I can cry is when I'm watching a fucking movie. I can't cry from my own emotions. I can only cry as a secondhand experience. It's very much tied into my fucking psychosis stuff. But if I could cry, I would have cried. But I got as close as I could, hyperventilating, running over to the missus. Oh my god, yeah, I can't. Because the first goal that I had posted on there was 5K, because it was like 2.5 months worth of rent. Average place rents out at about $1,000, so $5,000, or sorry, $2,000, so it works out to $5,000. When that goal got hit, I lost my shit.
So
I didn't know what the fuck to do. I had to go step outside and breathe some fresh air and straight on hyperventilating, sweating, like, oh my god, what?
well, yeah, because I saw the thank you video, very touching, very, very honest, but it didn't end there.
No.
Yeah, once again,
at that point, those motherfuckers are going, hey, raise it to 10K, raise it to 10K. And they pushed that motherfucker between Streamlabs and GoFundMe up to just over $8,000.
Yeah, it was the whole, you know what, this journey has quite a bit more road to travel. And I can't imagine them being any less badgering, like, hey, come on, buddy, come on there, you know, just go ahead and raise it.
Yeah, well, at that point, hey, come on, man, we're already doing, just let us do the things. And they didn't even ask me at that point. It was, all right, now we got him a place to live. We know that he's got, so let's get him a new camera. Let's get him a new computer. And therein I have the new computer. I have the new camera. I have the new set. All the things that it took to build this, though.
Well, and the total ended up to be, was it 27? Or am I completely off?
Oh, the total after the fundraising?
Yeah.
Came about to $8,200 Canadian.
Okay. Sorry.
Yeah.
I was totally off. My apologies. But
no, it's all good. That was, yeah.
I mean, it was okay, we hit this, we're not even 12 hours in.
Yeah, exactly. They raised the fucking $5,000 in the first, like, hey, let's talk about this stream is coming up. Let's mention this thing. They fucking did it in the first, like, day.
Yeah, and I think really, if people think that magic doesn't exist, that stream would prove them wrong. Because
clearly, the power of the alarm no state, the summoning of Sargon finally into a failure accomplished stream, it was a legendary experience. I got to talk to Sargon. I got to talk to Baked Alaska moments before he destroyed himself. That is the last appearance of Baked Alaska as an acceptable person to speak to, and it's on that stream.
Yeah, you could hear the strums of Merry Go Round broken down starting playing about that point.
Yeah, it was when we started reading the story about the intestinal worms and parasites and stuff. Yeah, that was about the point that he broke.
And I was there. I think I was only one of like 3 people who ran the whole time, because I'm an insomniac, so I had the advantage. And I do apologize, because my goal was to make a meme every hour. But I only ended up doing 12 memes in that 24 hours.
Oh, that's okay. I have most of them saved. I very much enjoy collecting the memes and fan art that people send, and I keep them in a folder. I sometimes slip them into thumbnails, but
yeah, I mean, even Optic was sliding me some of the stuff that he was working with on the side, and a couple of the other artists. I'm like, cool, I'm going to chop some heads now, and I know I wasn't a big part of it, but the way that it went, I think anybody who gave money or time or effort, felt like they were a part of it, because
everybody was pitching in at that point, even just by being there. It was really good. It was a very bonding experience.
And you were literally worth it. I mean, how does that feel? I mean, that must be something amazing.
As a dude with because I've mentioned it a couple. I'll just outright say, as a dude with hardcore CPTSD, it's often really hard to find a sense of worth, and that experience really literally shook the foundations of my understanding of reality. I've been in a continuous state of cognitive dissonance since, trying to work out this weird balance of, no, people really do like me and what I do, and I'm worthless and must be destroyed in a giant fireball, while all people watch. There's, not like a suicide bombing, but, ride an ATV over a cliff, blow a trumpet, big explosion, people clap, fireworks, like...
Well, yeah, I mean, it's like you have the ability to see the worth in others, and it's really, really hard coming up the way that you did to acknowledge that people find worth in you, and that in turn gives you self-worth.
Yeah, it's weird.
I find that incredibly amazing. And since we're coming up at the top of the hour, yes, chat, we will take your questions at the top of the hour. I just want to make sure that we are pimping properly, because even though Beardy does, he's got everything he wants and everything he needs for right now. Please do patronize on Twitter, on YouTube. He also has a BitChute set up, so if YouTube starts being dicks, then there's always an option. You'll always get your dosage of the Beardbarian. There's also a Streamlabs, and there's also a Patreon. So if you want to support in every way that you can, make sure that anytime you see a video, it's most important, smash that like button. And if you want to throw some shekels, please feel free and do so as well, because I will say it is fan service. I enjoy the content that he puts out. I'm broke ass busted, but I will always smash a like button, maybe throw a happy comment every so often, but it's what you're doing, and we'll get into this just a little bit later. What you're doing, I think, is politicizing on many different levels without being an ass clown or one of these IBS morons.
Yeah.
That's because everything has to come from inside. Mm-hmm. Everything has to be this is how I see the world, and let me share that with you. If you find people along the way who agree, then that's a wonderful thing. But personally, I think your I'm not going to say objective, but I would say that your actual service to people is the fact that when they walk away from a video of yours, not only do they get a little giggle out of what's going on, but it's what we like to call the velvet hammer. You drop a little knowledge on people, and hopefully, once the video is said and done, they walk away and they think about it a little bit, or they talk to a friend about it a little bit. I mean, it's not, suicide prevention hotline or anything, but, literally get the noggin jogging. And that's something that, I mean, I'll be honest, when I watch a lot of these blood sports or the versus stuff, I don't find people talking a lot about it afterwards, because they're already burnt out on the rhetoric that's being passed around. You dive in, you hit with a message, and then you just let them sift through it, which I think is honestly a very, very high skill. So can we just talk a little bit about when you approach a video, how do you start?
It depends on if I'm doing a one-off or if I'm doing a mini-series idea. Either way, both start as, what are the 5 things I want to accomplish in this little mini story or episode? And that's really just a sequence of events, as opposed to It can be plot points, or it can just be a series of events. I want to do a silly walk. I want to jump off of a log. I want to have a screaming fit while diving out of a tree. Then I want to fall down a hill. And then I want to act surprised. And I will build an episode around those 5 points of desire. Quite often I build my episodes around the jokes, and everything else is just what floats in between. But rather than that being like, oh, okay, I want to say this funny thing, this is the joke, I'll build to it, it's more so something like, I want to fall down a hill, or I'd like to attempt a backflip, or I'd like to get tree-lined by a tree. How can I get tree-lined by a tree? It's the physical humor instead of the verbal stuff. My scripts are shit. I genuinely don't write scripts for myself. My new cast member had to learn that. My scripts are written they look like a script, but they're really just bullet points and guidelines. It's to just demonstrate how the conversation should flow, but I know I want to be hit with a fireball at this point, and I know it'll be really funny if we do this dramatic pose at this point, and I build the scripts to that. The mini adventure series ones are where it starts to get a little bit more fun, where each one of them is broken down into 4 to 5 episodes of, what points do I want to get, and then the 5 points inside of those. I like the adventure style ones more because, the mini series ones more, because I could start to add more ideas into it, but it really, really does just boil down to where can I be funny? I want to tell a joke. What do I want to tell a joke about today? That last episode, I wanted to tell a joke about the confusing nature of the English language.
Yeah.
So how do I translate communication sucks from a barbarian perspective of Beardy? Well, let's apply it to sex, since we're on the topic of nymphos anyways, and we're going to illuminate how communication is terrible. This next episode illuminates part of how our idea of legal authority works. There's just little things where it's just Beardy. I love these little opinions. And again, when Magog went do this thing, he said, I want you to be a barbarian who tells us your opinions. And I liked that. And I really do love these stupid little journeys where you get these fourth wall. Beardy talks to the camera about something he's thinking about. It's a fun bridge between joining a character on an adventure where you'd watch like Game of Thrones or something and see the characters doing some amazing thing, and then also getting their, this bread is fucking shit. I mean, I went raiding all across Sweden, I fucked up a bunch of Britons, and I can't get a decent piece of bread. I'm killing you all. Like, there's just... those parts of the adventures are missing from everything that we see, and that's kind of what I wanted to tap into more. But really, that opinion, that breaking away from... Because, yeah, I could show an episode of me sitting and talking with somebody about something like the broken nature of the English language and communication and all that shit. Or I can just have a little rant to myself in front of the camera for about 45 seconds and then go on with the skit.
Well, and I think that's part of the genius of what you do, because you are, you're taking slapstick, you're taking situational comedy, kind of what I feel is more Marx Brothers than Three Stooges.
Fair.
And and blending it in, and I think that's what gives you the availability to translate, to be able to have the layers, to make sure that you can kind of like the old Disney movies. There's 2 different levels that you can enjoy it on. There's the kid level, the base level, and then there's the adult level of the deeper meaning to it. Mm-hmm. And I think you do a lot of that with your stuff, and I'd like to say that it's all intentional.
Oh, absolutely. I want everybody to find something that's enjoyable in my episodes. I mean, it's clearly not made for kids, but I want there to be something for everyone. I'm not making a politically aligned series here. It's comedy. If a kid walks into a room and sees my stuff, as long as they don't hear fuck shit ass bitches, while I'm chopping people up, it's still good, but I'm trying not to create language or intellectual barriers in the jokes, and I don't know. I think it's simple humor. When we keep it simple, everybody gets the joke.
Well, when you do a simple joke, you have the availability to weave a complex theme to it. And that's something, that nuance is a lot of what other people are just not getting. They're trying to, they're trying to be all intelligent and wise, and it's just like how Shakespeare always had a shit ton of double entendres because he wanted to play not only to the nobles but to the serf and peasant class to be able to entertain them.
Yeah, that's definitely something that perspective that I can carry. I have a lot of love for classical theater and classical stage play, and there's definitely a adoration for that duality of let's make a joke that everyone can laugh at, and there's also a penis reference in here if you're paying attention to it.
Oh yeah, yeah. And honestly, I see the smoke in your hand. Do you want to take a quick break?
Oh, I'm good. I'm just I'm fidgeting, so I'm just putting it in my fingers.
Oh, okay. Okay. I just wanted to make sure. We're at the top of the hour now, so please chat. We're more than happy to entertain your questions. I know I had this come up when I was getting set up, so I'll go ahead and just mention real quick. Next week we have composer Harry Manfredini. After that, we have creature and model builders, Rex Effects Studios. And then to finish out the month, we have voice actor Kyle Hebert, which apparently a lot of people are psyched up for because he was or he still is the narrator for the Dragon Ball series. And he also voiced young Gohan.
Oh, nice.
So he's going to be coming up, and but if you're looking for something other than what you're hearing tonight, you're not going to find it, because what this show is definitively about is talking to the creators. We need to find out, what they do, how they do it, why they do it, and hopefully that will help us understand and enjoy everything that they provide to us. I think that is invaluable in many, many ways. And it's just like, I see a lot of people out there scratching for their 15 minutes of fame, but the people that we've been lucky enough to interview so far are people who just literally want to do this because they have a passion for it. And I find that amazing. I find that completely attributable to everybody that we've had on, Beardy definitely included. Sorry, I ramble.
That's okay. That's perfectly fine. I was just retweeting out the event page there, making sure that folks come floating in for the Q&A portion there. I'm just gonna step to the side here and light this thing. Whew.
Alrighty then. Yeah, we're hoping, and that's, we, by me saying we, it's all the voices in my head, that you're enjoying yourselves. And if I may, just for self-aggrandizement, if you're enjoying what you're listening to, please go ahead, throw up some ones in the chat if you think we're on the right track. And after you throw up your ones,
Sweet nicotine.
after you throw up your ones, please do make sure and embrace your adult intoxicant, and feel free to raise a shot or a hit or whatever is your pleasure for this evening. Unless it's a needle, then put the fucking shit down.
Cheers to that.
And if you guys need the recipe for the Polynesian Double Down, I can certainly put that on Twitter later. But I salute you all for stopping out tonight. And of course, we've got many more of these to come. I can't really reveal the guests that we're booking in for July, but I think there's going to be some names that that you're going to be surprised that are there. And I do not consider, even if I get people that are, for instance, as star powered as Harry Manfredini, you know, the guy who wrote over 100 movie scores and the Friday the 13th soundtrack, or Kyle Aber, you know, voice actor extraordinaire. They are just as valuable to me as all the other people that I interview, because they're important. They all have stories, and you can get something from them, even if you're just a fan, or if you're somebody looking to get on to YouTube and express yourself. They're all important. And I'm going to drink this now.
Good call.
Tasty. Now all I need is a pig in the ground, and I'll feel like I'm in Hawaii.
Oh, fuck. The ground on this island, there's so much clay. We have pit roasts out here all the time. I fucking love it. Yeah,
when I lived in Atlanta, Georgia clay was great for putting a pig in the ground.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as long as you got clay is the earth, you can do a mean pit roast. And God, is it good.
Nutritious and delicious. Veganism is dead. Now, of course, I'm waiting for a couple of the. I'm waiting for some actual real questions besides why is the rum gone? Oh, there it is.
Yeah, if y'all in the chat have any questions for me, just throw them up, and I'm happy to answer them.
And let's talk about a little bit, because you didn't fuck around when you went to invest.
No,
and I mean, looking back behind you, it's amazing. I mean, it looks like there's a ton of stuff. I mean, go through it. What was in your mind? What did you say? Okay, do I need just randomly this, and this, or I've got a plan? Here's a set. Here's a set.
I will actually show you what I did. I did a doodle, and I said, I want this. See, I gotta pull it up in a window that'll show it. I went ahead and I've always loved Conan the Barbarian, and I was looking at, well, I was rewatching the movie, and I loved fuck, I can't remember his name right now, but the snake cult leader. He has the one set where
James Earl Jones.
Yeah, his character, but I can't remember the character's name. That's the problem.
Oh,
he has this orgy pit where everyone's cannibalizing one another, and he's sitting on that throne with the bitches and turns into the snake, and behind him is this wall of just golden tiles with pillars to either side. And I wanted to duplicate that, but make it a little bit different. So when I did that, let me just screen share the right window here. There we go. I came up with this really basic design, and this was the basis for the Beardy set, for this entire thing that's behind me. I just said, fuck it, I want to make something kind of like that, but I want it to be a sandstone castle. And just out of this doodle, I created the set that's now around me.
Wait a minute. Thulsa Doom?
Yeah, Thulsa Doom. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah, Thulsa Doom's temple. I fucking loved it. I wanted to step it up one, so.
Do you have the emojis on there too?
Oh, dude, the faces. I gotta show you the faces. Let me just this thing here. They are indeed in the pillars. I got one right there, up in the top corner, and the other one is a little bit lower, kind of hidden, but right here. And I've got candle inserts that glow that I insert into each of those guys. They're LED candles, so they flicker and everything. That sit inside of there for when I'm doing the in-character streams.
So this is definitive proof that it was not spent on hookers and bourbon. Well,
no,
not all of it.
It was spent on equipment. It was spent on 22 cans of fucking spray paint on top of the roll-on latex paint for the foam. It was spent on all the most of it went into set construction. About 50-50. went between half of it into set construction, the other half into rent and equipment purchases, which included the Canon Rebel T6, the Rode directional mic and windsock for it, a little recorder for that thing so that I can record my audio separately, and bunch of shit, but a lot of it went into building this. I put a lot more money into the set than anything else, and part of that was because I was able to get a really good deal on the replacement computer and on finding like garb and new armor and stuff, and a lot of things that I could buy for cheaper and then make look better myself. So I did a lot of that. I bought a lot of lower quality stuff and then made it fucking boss as shit.
Dude, I'm telling you right now, you're on college level, because I've been around, I've seen sets built, and it starts off at the junior high school level, then the high school level, then community theater, and then you get to college. I think you're at the college level. Some of that shit that's back behind you is just beautiful.
Well, I'll tell you what, this is the first set I've built out of foam. This was all stuff that I've studied at theory. Most of the time I build it out of like tiling, the floor tiling and kitchen tiling.
Oh, sure.
Just put it up. This is the first time that I went ahead and said, no, I'm going to carve it. I'm going to do all this stuff. There was a lot of new things for me. A lot of the times I'm making like fake wooden sets, nailing up cedar siding and stuff and making it just look like that kind of interior. But I wanted to try something new, and I love the look of sandstone. I went, I can fucking do that.
Well, and I mean, it's beautiful. I can't wait to see how you utilize it.
There's still all the lights that I don't have on, and all of the extra things. All the effects are turned off right now. There's a lot of neat things in this set, including hidden little details that you'll only see if the camera is on the right fucking angle. There's a lot of shit hidden in this set.
Oh, hey, by the way, we're starting to get questions in.
Fantastic.
And while a wild fox appears, asks about you coming on their show. So.
Oh yeah, you were talking to me about that on fucking on Discord. I have to go back and look at your message. I haven't looked at it yet.
Yeah, and
recently rather. I saw that you sent me one in the past like 24. I just haven't looked yet.
And Excelerate wants to know any type of in-depth beard maintenance tips you can provide.
Yeah, absolutely. Number one tip is don't over-touch your beard. Don't overdo anything with your beard. The beard does not like to be fondled. It doesn't like to be shampooed. It doesn't like to be conditioned. Just all that you really need to do is keep it clean by using water and just brushing out anything. Use a wide tooth brush so that you can go ahead and just gently. You don't want to use those tight steel brushes that you see out there. Those will just rip hair out. If you're in a high heat environment or you're working around a lot of heat or anything like that, then you can start using coconut oil and peppermint oil in your beard to go ahead and give it a light protection against the heat. And the peppermint oil will also stimulate the scalp into producing stronger hair. But aside from that, it's don't shampoo it unless you really need to it. Never fucking condition your beard. Don't stripping it's bad enough. Putting on fake chemicals onto it's going to make it even worse. Beard hair likes to split and fray and be a bitch. So just only wash it when it's really gross. Like if you puke all over yourself, wash it. But aside from that, water and rinse. And for high heat, treat with coconut oil. It'll do fine. But for the most part, just leave it alone. And the real difficult part outside of that is acknowledging your beard growth style and pattern. Like I grow really patchy on the cheeks, so I just cut that part out. But you need to know how your beard grows, what direction it's growing in, and then you can shape it and develop it. Pick a style and be prepared to spend quite a lot of time dedicated to it. I really like the Egyptian pharaoh beard, which is exactly what I have going on for Beardy. In most of my episodes, I actually have it brushed up into itself to make it look smaller than it is. That's because Beardy's beard gets bigger the more powerful he is at the time. So right now, scrawny tiny Beardy has to have a tiny beard. So I try to make it look smaller. And then once I start doing some more of these plot power-up levels, it'll brush it out more, but actually show how much beard I have. But
Yeah, currently, right now, I'm rocking the Doc Holiday look with the no, with the curled up waxed mustache and the
Oh,
little bit of
dude, I used to
soul
have the
patch.
twirly mustache too. I kind of miss it. I was a Gogo Bordello look-alike for a while.
This is the first time that I've ever tried it, and I don't know. Well, nobody's ever seen my face because nobody bothered to dox me yet. But
Yeah, I hope that tendency continues and you remain as elusive as you want to be.
oh, I so don't care. But I think people are going to find out once they connect the two together that the guy I am here is completely different from the IRL guy, and yeah, I think it's going to be fun. But then again, I really just don't care as long as people are tuning in and enjoying the actual content because I'm having such a great time bringing on creators like yourself to be able to, you know, literally sit back and pick brains and have other people, sitting in the same seats with me, eating the popcorn and just enjoying hearing your stories because I I think a lot of people think that when you become celebrity, whether you're an A-lister or you're, a YouTube e-celeb,
Zed
that
list. Nah.
well, it's not a sad thing if you got enough. And honestly, I think YouTube people have a greater intensity to the people that they like than those A-list celebrities because there's too many star fuckers there. And I mean, just from the marathon that we ran, it was literally apparent that there's a lot of people out there that love what you do and how you do it. And I mean, I can think of no greater compliment than the love and the shekels that just rained in during that 24 hours. And
People
that,
undeniably said they wanted me to have a roof over my head. That broke my existence.
yeah, so it's one of those. It's one of those where one of my counselors was like, "Fuck you, take it."
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Now, Hexagonal Lamb says, as men with both very impressive voices, do you have any recommendations for someone who sometimes feels unsure about his own voice and voice mimics when on streams?
Yeah, I totally do. I don't. I'm not a fan of my own voice, but I used to be afraid to sing in public or do any like in spite of doing the choir stuff. I was really, really afraid to sing in public or do public speaking. Again, in spite of talent in public speaking, like I took courses for years on public speaking to be a lead, one of the people in front of a podium talking to motherfuckers, politics, religion, whatever, didn't matter. I was training to become a public speaker. But I couldn't fucking sing. But one night, after crazy shit, I got drunk as shit at a shitty bar where there happened to be a karaoke booth, and I sang the worst rendition of George Michael's Faith that has ever been heard
I
anywhere
so
on
want
the
to hear
earth.
that. I really want to hear that.
Oh, I don't. My voice was cracking. I was a nervous wreck. I'd had a breakdown just a couple hours prior. Like I was a fucking mess, slobberingly drunk, singing George Michael's Faith. And after you sing George Michael's Faith in the most terrible form you can, in front of a complete group of strangers, you lose the ability to feel any shame about your voice in public. So I definitely recommend choosing a terrible song that you cannot sing, but you sing anyways, that's about having strength in a public place. Just go to a karaoke bar, fucking sing Respect, sing, no, Macho Man. Go sing Macho Man by the Village People.
Yeah, and if I can tag on to that, I got an okay singing voice, and I followed one of the only few things that I ever followed in the Bible, which was make a joyful noise. It's all about you. It's literally not having to impress anybody. My best friend is tone deaf. and he loves to get up for karaoke and sing Metallica.
Yeah, we had, at the last place I used to frequent, we had a guy that we just called AC/DC. Because he'd always get up, first thing, first person, sing an AC/DC song terribly. Made him happy as fuck.
Yeah, and that's the thing. If I can just advance the thought a little bit further, Hexagonal, the whole deal is the fact that you're digging what you're doing, and that makes you literally bulletproof. As long as you're enjoying it, as long as you're making that joyful noise, fuck everybody else. You're doing what you want to do, and that should be all that you need to validate yourself, especially when you're online, when you're doing a stream. I mean, you're bare in front of the world, but still, it doesn't really matter because you're doing what's making you happy. And I think that's a lot of what some of these new virgin YouTube creators miss, is the fact that if you're not doing it for yourself, then why are you here in the first place? You really just need to wrap yourself in that cloak of invulnerability and go for it. I know personally, because I've talked to you off of streams, and if this is something that you want to do, I'll show up for it. I'll take a listen. I mean, that's the thing about YouTube. You never know what's going to go over until you actually try it. And if it doesn't work, then, I mean, it doesn't work. But if you're getting enjoyment out of it, then, you know, fuck all the naysayers. You have to be true to yourself. And, you know, I don't mean this to sound like a Stuart Smalley speech, but, you know, if it's making you happy, then it can't be a bad thing. I'm sorry, I rambled again.
It's all good. It's all good. That you are the doctor after all. This is why the people come to see you. Is it not?
Well, you know, I try to give them the prescription to cure the common interview.
Alcohol.
Alcohol doesn't hurt. I'll tell you that much. I'm sorry. I'm trying to scroll back through to see if.
And Wild Fox appears. If you're a good singer, sing anyways. Just do it. Just do it. I sang that George Michael's Faith song, and then I went on to another town where I met AC/DC. And I mean the guy, not the band. I mean just the dude. Where I started hanging out there, and I was singing so much Sinatra, Dean Martin, Sammy Davis Jr., and Michael Bublé that they started calling me show tunes.
Wait a minute. What'd you do with Bublé?
What didn't I do with Bublé?
Oh, hell yeah.
The fun part of it is that I was living it was a wonderful place. I have no Corky's Irish Pub in Chilliwack. There's a little deli there that's very popular because the woman who runs it and owns it is Michael Bublé's aunt, and she has pictures of him everywhere and boasts about it constantly in every advertisement. She's just the nicest little lady ever. It's a great little deli, but I used to hit up that place all the time. Little fucking place. $7 pitchers. It was the cheapest pitcher of beer I could buy anywhere that I'd been in Canada in years. Fucking love the place. So good. Just do it anyways, damn it. Sing anyways.
Yeah, I mean, it's the whole thing of whatever is going to get you off. I mean, if you've got a partner, then you might want to consider them. But literally, I mean, it's just, I mean, if you can sing, you sing, but you do it in the way that's going to make you happy. I can say right up front that with me, and that, not to get too political on it, but me and Sisyphus, I felt like when we were doing our interviews that I was bullying him because I was taking up most of the time. I didn't feel good about what I was doing, even though I knew that, well, how I was doing it was how I was trained in radio. You know, never have dead air. Yeah. Always make sure that there's something going on. And I felt bad because I felt like a dick about what I was doing to him, and that's really essentially what caused our split. But if you're striking out on your own, if it's something that you really want to do, if it's something that you have a passion for, then you keep doing it until you find your groove. Nobody is ever going to land on the perfect solution the first time that they do it.
Fuck no.
But as long as you have the desire to make yourself happy, and in the interim, making other people happy and entertained, then you cannot be on the wrong path. Wait a minute. Wild Fox, what is your favorite System of a Down song in karaoke?
My favorite karaoke song to sing is OPP by Naughty by Nature. So it's such a great song. It's so much fun. And you being the scrawny white guy, you get up on stage and they're all like, okay, we're getting ready for this. He's going to probably sing some dumbass fucking Proclaimers 500 miles bullshit. And they start hearing the bass line. They're like, oh, wait, what?
Oh, hell. One of my favorites that went into my repertoire, so to speak, was Baby Got Back.
That's a fun one, too.
And I could do that lick for lick, and I had choreography with it because people just kept on me all the time. Oh, you got to do this. You got to do this. And the cool thing about it is, if you do karaoke long enough, you can say, well, you buy me a drink and I'll do that. So
yeah, that's a great way to do things.
Be a nice, be a cheap alcoholic, be a liquor pay pig, and life is all good. But
do a good song, and then you got to encore. Come on, man, because everyone's drunk and there's only a few people left, and you go, fuck. Well, I need one more beer to wet my throat, and I'll sing it for you.
Oh, hell yeah. Now, I kind of want to swing back to you because I know our time is limited. If now you've got the collabs going on, can you talk a little bit about how a collaboration works with another celebrity?
Well, I can. It's different. It's different with me and with what I do versus with response videos and product evaluations and that kind of thing. With what I do, because I don't really do response videos. I guess it took a while for folks to even realize that my response videos are parodies of response videos. I don't actually respond to shit in any of them. I made a Riley Dennis episode as one of my first early ones that was just me straight up talking about how hot dwarven chicks look with beards.
That was good. That was pretty awesome.
Like, all of them are satires. They're all just comedy. There's no genuine value in them. You can derive meaning from them, but there's no meaning there aside from a confused barbarian spouting nonsense. And but for conventional response videos, which is what most people seem to be doing in this corner right now, a collaboration is pretty simple. Usually it's you pick a video, you contact the person, you tell them, hey, I found this video, I have this idea for this, do you want to do this? You come up with your basic outline beforehand. I want to, I have this introduction, I'd like you to jump in, throw in some jokes, are you interested? And usually the person who's asking for the collab has the responsibility of pointing out what part, if you're trying to organize it, have it fucking organized beforehand. Don't just say, I have an idea here,
sure,
can we do something sometime? But with what I do, it more comes down to last minute or a week beforehand. I go, hey, I have a role, I need a voice for it, are you interested? Because there's not very much room for me to get people to just tell me their opinion on a video. They got to live in a comparable outside environment or have something indoors that compares to be in a skit. And because I did that one collaborative response video with the white YouTuber, and that was good fun. That was a lot of fun. I enjoyed doing that. But even making that crossover into being semi-serious about something didn't really work. I don't do serious well. Not as Beardy. So If you want to do a traditional response video collaboration, just pick your video, come up with your format beforehand, and then lay it all out to the person as a single presentation. Hey, here's what I have in mind. Here's the video I want to respond to. I want to, I want to aim for about 10 minutes. I need 4 minutes of footage from you. If you can find a couple things you want to reply to, here's what I'm going to reply to. That's usually the way that seems to work best for a lot of people.
So, do you find yourself approaching people, or people more approaching you to do collabs?
I have more people approaching me, but that's, again, because of the confusion on what it is that I do. I get a lot of people approaching me wanting serious opinions from Beardy and to do response videos about political stuff, and I'm like, whoa.
You're like, fuck that. I just want to
I'm a barbarian. Like, you want me to talk about the diversity of politics and party issues? I just want to smash them with an axe. Like, I don't know where you want this conversation to go, but a lot of times I've had more success when people get a hold of me and they tell me, hey, I'm doing this video, can you say something on this subject? I need about 2 minutes of footage from you. And that's where stuff like the Count Dankula collaboration and stuff like that have come out, where people just get a hold of me and they go, hey, can you give me this brief thing as a part of a thing? And I love doing interjection skits. Like, you got the middle of an episode going down, and then suddenly Beardy breaks in the back door and fucks shit up and runs off, and the thing gets sidelined. I'm trying to arrange with a couple other creators that live on the West Coast, up near Seattle, because they have similar environment types, to do videos together. But it's really, what I do is very geographically dependent because of the vibrance of the rainforest I live in. A lot of what I do requires people physically present. So, I do get a lot of offers, but they tend to not line up. And when I do make offers, it's mostly just, hey, I need a line, or, I need somebody who's off camera, or I'm creating current roles coming up for big heroes that Beardy's got to fight that are in Power Ranger style full body suits. So the actors playing them won't be voicing them. I'll be having other people come in to do cameo guest voices, because that seems to be the best way for me right now to allow other people to do cameos and collaborations and guest roles, because I do skits. I do skits. I don't do opinion pieces. I do skits that sometimes have opinions in them.
Well, and to slide into it, Charles Fowler asks, how did Side Quest start with Magog and Vamp?
Magog and I started doing random shows together pretty quick after he challenged me with the idea of making Beardy into a barbarian. You're the Beardbarian, be a barbarian, give me your opinions. And because I responded with it, I put out 3-4 videos before he was like, hey, this is actually really good, let's do the thing. Then we started talking about doing live shows, and Side Quest was just a very quick evolution, but initially we were looking at he and I, and we were trying to figure out who we could have as our third person, because we wanted a third person and we wanted it to be a woman. And everyone that we talked to about it went, I don't want to wear a costume, I don't want to hang out with nerds, essentially, or wasn't available. And Vamp was like, fuck, I'll do it. And a lot of what Side Quest became, because all that it started as was, hey, we need to do a live show as Beardy and Magog. A lot of what it became for its first season was straight up the build-up that happened between the three of us sitting down for about 3 hours at a time, 4 or 5 days in a row, where we just started talking and being the characters and building up what the show would look like. Well, somebody set something on fire. Let me close that window real quick.
You alrighty?
There we go. The thing about small towns, there's just a single giant blazing alarm. But Side Quest, as far as the idea with the name Side Quest, just started as, hey, we should do a live show. All the meat and potatoes of what it became was utterly improv. We wanted to start it as kind of an in-character sitting around the campfire telling stories thing, which is why the first one, which wasn't even officially Side Quest or under the name of Side Quest, was the way it was. But we didn't know shit about how to make Hangouts work or OBS, and it was a fustercluck. But we're bringing the show back. On the 18th is the first real episode of it, but we're going to be doing a little short stream, he and I, on the 11th for it. But Side Quest is coming back, and we've changed a whole lot.
And do you enjoy doing the live stuff over the pre-records, or would you rather have your editorial thumb on it to be able to make a video, as opposed to everything just coming out improv?
I really like doing the videos and skits, but mostly because I can be more elaborate. I like the setups. I like being able to change locations and have props on hand and all these quick things. And I do have storage containers around so that I can do that during streams. Like I've got one in front of me and one to the side of me that have props in them. But I love doing live shows. I love doing improv. Before doing the YouTube thing, I was going out almost every weekend of every year for the past 5 years, doing different tournaments and fighting with my friends and beating each other up, and that's how I got the brain damage that I have now, was fighting with my friends. It was fucking hilarious, totally worth it. But I've just become so injured over the years that I couldn't do the fighting anymore, so I started focusing more on the entertainment. I'd spend the hot summer day while they were all fighting down by the river, drinking wine and swimming. And then as soon as the sun set, I would be out in the middle of the town with a big bonfire going, singing songs and putting on a show. And I love doing live improv stuff, but the part that's weird for me is not hearing and seeing my audience. I'm not used to having an online audience. I'm used to having people in front of me that are drunk and laughing and cheering, that I can go, hey, you there, the one with the tits, give me a name. And they go, Clarice! And I go, excellent, you there, also with the tits. Give me an emotion. Lust! Okay, I'm going to sing a song about Clarice's lust for the next 30 minutes. You there, play me a song. And they start playing, Buddy with a guitar will put out a little riff, and then I'll sing a song, improvised for 30 minutes on just Clarice's lust and these bitches' tits. And I've forged some great friendships by singing improv songs or doing these little bits in that way. But I'm really used to having a physical level of audience interaction. The separation that's done through the microphone and through the internet is very, very weird for me, and I'm still learning how to compensate for it, because that lag, again, even though there's the chat, there's still a lag. I tell a joke or I go into a bit and I start going, there's still that 20 to 30 seconds to a minute. If I start throwing out improv notes and start playing with an instrument, like I've got bunches of instruments hidden around this set too, it's the lag and the lack of ambiance is definitely an adjustment.
Oh, I can agree. Instant gratification is definitely something that drives any performer. I mean, I don't have the physical ability to be on a stage, but a couple of years back, somebody wrangled me into doing Secret Garden, mm-hmm. and I got on. I had my own solo, and I always get cast as Captain Exposition, because they can give me these big blocks of friggin' dialogue, and I can cut through them.
Yeah.
And I mean, there is nothing like that stage rush that you get, because you can hear people reacting to you instantaneously.
Mm-hmm. Well, it lets you know what part of the joke works, where you can flow with it, what little bits of behavior pulling off. A lot of what I do is very, like with the show, it's very physical. It's all based on movement. I'm used to being able to pace back and forth across the stage, which is part of why I made the bigger set. This thing's 8 feet across. I can pull the throne out, and I can move all around this thing and have all sorts of fun. But it's weird being stationary, and it's weird not knowing how my audience responds to a joke until I've already started the next one.
Yeah. Yeah, like we never really had that problem in radio. We always had mm-hmm. the dump button and the 10-second delay.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's not like we were, hey, we're the morning zoo crew, woo, that kind of crap. But yeah, I mean, instant gratification is definitely something that benefits an artist more than the actual audience. Mm-hmm. Because you feed off the audience. It's a symbiotic thing.
Oh, absolutely.
And that leads me to asking about, where are you mapped out? Where's your path taking you in the future? Like, what does 2018 hold for you?
So right now I'm focusing on developing these mini adventures. The goal with these mini adventures is to essentially get them to stretch into 5 episodes apiece, each one running for 20 minutes at a time. So what I'm doing right now is just focusing on getting these 5-part episodes as a format and getting used to writing them, and then lengthening each episode by adding more substance to it and adding more interaction to it, and having these extra cast members really helps with that. Then once I'm at the point that I'm making these 20-minute videos in 5-part piece, like little things, I've now got full-length movies coming out every 5 weeks in 5 parts that are appropriately divided at the 20-minute mark to be re-released on television if I can go ahead and get a license for it. I want to move Beardy into full-on comedy mini-adventure movies. The way that Conan had movies and comic books that were, 4 or 5 comic books was an adventure. He'd have a random party member, he'd go on this quest, and then it's done. On to the next quest. You can put these in whatever order you want. That's basically what I want to do with these movies. This is also bearing in mind that I'm trying to work myself up to 3 live shows a week that are interactive, and also the sitcom that I'm working on with Magog. So I want to do a television-based sitcom with Magog. I want to be making Beardbarian full-length movies and doing the live shows.
Wow.
And, this year's full plate of things is working towards the sitcom. Magog and I are hoping to get together over the winter. I'll be going down to Arkansas, and we'll begin writing scripts and working on our chemistry for, because you can do so much with writing together online, but a lot of the way that he and I build comedy would benefit from us being in the same fucking room. But then I can also bring down all the costumes and stuff, and if we want to film anything on the spot, we can make a bunch of content there, and we can start writing for the sitcom. So the sitcom's something that's going to happen over the next couple of years. That's not really the main focus. My focus right now is getting my live shows on fucking par, 3 a week, including side quest, including Gulf City Sundays, and I want to have 1 actual show of my own a week on top of the wake and break stuff streams that I do for fun when I'm forcing myself to not work on stuff, and those full 20-minute long episodes that can be compiled into movies. I want fucking movies. I love the Conan movies, but there needs to be like 1 million more, but nobody's making them, so I'm making them.
Well, the one that Jason Momoa was a star of, I didn't think that one was bad at all.
It was okay. I was just upset that he was pretty. Like when I saw it, I was like, "What? You're too handsome. Can somebody just hit him with a shovel? Just break his nose or something, please, somebody."
Yeah, the fucker is pretty good looking.
Yeah, he was just otherwise great movie. He was just too handsome to play Conan.
Well, I mean, he did a better job in Conan than he did being Fish Boy.
That's what I'm hearing.
Because
Charles Fowler says, "What are some of your favorite fan-made gifts?" Sorry, I just saw this.
No, go for it.
This shield behind me, that's just kind of sitting here. All the painting, all the detailing was done by me, but Jack T. Ripper cut out the piece of steel and sent it to me, and that's the first one that I've had sent to me that was made by somebody. Oh wait, no, that's not true. That one was the first one, but I've also received a little hand axe, a dagger, some jewelry, which I've actually got worked into the mutated, diseased deer skull that's on the top of the axe. There's a bunch of brass and copper and stuff in there that people have sent me, but I like the shield. I really like the shield. But the number one was a necklace that I was wearing that's unfortunately on the other side of the room and buried, so I'm not going to go dig it out. There's a fantastic little sword pendant thing that I had during the anniversary stream. I was wearing an orange necklace, and it had this hanging piece on it that nobody could see. And it's a little sword that's been carved that has an old Futhark Beardbarian written down it. And that's become part of the costume now. I fucking love that thing. That pendant is amazing. But I love the shield. It's really tight. It's really tight, but that necklace just like, oh, it's dope. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, isn't it a nice commendation on what you're doing? That, I mean, not just fan art and memes, but you're getting physical representations of what you mean to people.
Mm-hmm. Well, like with the little hand axe and all that stuff, that with the necklace and piece, that all came from one guy. He sent me a message beforehand that said, "Hey, I love smithing. I've been doing it for years, but I want to try making this stuff, but I can't make it because I have nowhere to put it. I have no use for it. It would just clutter my house. I can't fucking do it. I would love to make you these things and send them to you. And I went, oh my God, yes. There's people wanting to go ahead and learn these new creative outlets and try these different methods of making things, but they can't clutter their houses with the crap afterwards. And I'm going, send me your experiments. I would love them. Like I've got some of the sharp things down here. Where is it? Here's the knife that Buddy made me. Like he hammered this thing by hand, wrapped the handle for me. I love this thing. It's sturdy. It's sturdy. Nice. It's sharp, and I can make legitimate use of this thing. I love it. Couldn't possibly make it for any natural use around his own home, but I'm more than happy to take on the responsibility of making good use of it myself.
I still find that when people are into you that much, and they send you things through the mail, or I just recently got I mean the shit out of people, but I just recently got a character type, a Cal Arts, and Redacted made it for me, and I was just giddy at the fact that somebody made something for me that was about me.
Yeah, it's a rush. It's fucking awesome.
Yeah, and
touching as shit.
Yeah, I was amazed. I automatically made it my Twitter avatar.
Yeah,
and it's probably going to stay there for quite a while. And I think that's the thing where you're starting to make a connection.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, you can get all the Patreon funds you want, but when you start seeing people just irreverently smashing that like button and leaving comments and asking you when's the next thing coming out, that I mean, somebody like ourselves that were street people, and then now we've got people from all around the world that are listening.
Yeah, it's weird. It's great. Never would have seen it coming ever.
I mean, I don't know. I don't think there can be a better lift in the soul than people appreciating what you're doing while you're on your path to you doing what you want to do. This is what you need to do. This is what you have to do. And you get that kind of confirmation of, well, shit, yeah, we love what you're doing as well. And that's an amazing, amazing thing. And I'm really glad that you didn't have to move into a tent, and that you had two cartoon characters and an experimental Don badgering your ass.
Two cartoons and a Cuban walk into a bar. They look at the bartender and they say, "Hey, I need to give my friend a lift." And they go, "Okay, what's the joke?" And there's no joke. We need to help our friend out. Get the fuck out of here. It was a good time.
Forget about it. Just do it. But yeah, I think because I know we're getting close to the top of the hour, so we'll go ahead and wrap. I think what you're doing, you're realizing that you're affecting people, that what you saw in your head, you're having the ability to put down in the electronic medium. You're also being able to move forward, to be able to accept those who are willing to help you, and to be able to push a vision that maybe sometime down the road you thought that wasn't possible, but you're dug in. You're going to get this done, and I think there are going to be a lot of people who are grateful for the fact that you're continuing on your path. You're generating this content. You're doing what you want to do, and you're doing it in a way that not only pleases other people, but also takes care of you too. Sorry, I was.
Oh, it's all good. I was giving you time. It's a good speech. You're great at giving speeches, man.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to ramble, but I see a lot of great people on YouTube that are doing wonderful things that I personally enjoy, and it makes my heart grow 3 sizes bigger when I see people doing that and receiving the accolades that personally I think that they deserve. So all fanboy service here, but I'm really enjoying what you do, how you're doing it, and I'm glad there are other people, more than just a few, on the ride to see where Beardy goes next.
Me too, man. It's going to be a fun future, and I'm really grateful that I get to pull it off and share it with everybody.
So, are you thinking of doing an adult video with Mrs. Beardy then?
I don't want to give away spoilers. One day there will be an adult themed video. There will actually be technically several adult themed, and when I say adult themed, I mean there's no way that YouTube would allow me to post them on there. There's going to be some episodes coming that are too adult for YouTube, so that's why it's actually important for people to subscribe on BitChute. So if anybody's watching who hasn't yet, you'll want to click that link, because over the next year there will be content that can't be aired on YouTube.
Yeah,
and be showing up on BitChute.
And honestly, can you fill me in a little bit on BitChute? Because I mean, I've watched a couple videos here and there, but I mean, as far as their policies, can you compare or contrast them with YouTube?
Their policies are actually something that I'm really happy about. Their policies are essentially, we will honor the laws and regulations in the host country of the service user. So myself, as a Canadian, I am restricted by Canadian laws.
Okay.
An American using that site would be restricted by American free speech laws. A member of the UK using that site would be subject to the UK laws. Outside of that, their standards are very simply, we will not allow any content that promotes violence towards others or extremism. It's not too much vague speak, but they do give some examples. And essentially, as long as you're not saying, go out there and kill the blank, you're fine. They'll give you a fair bit of leeway, but for the most part, you're governed by the laws of your nation that you're in.
Wow, that's actually kind of nice.
Yeah. The previous standards that I was afraid of was everyone was going to get judged by UK law, but they managed to get shit cleared as an international organization.
Wow, and really with the crackdown, with the deliberate political atmosphere in which they're approaching content creators on YouTube as well as on Twitch, people are just getting stomped out, and I'm glad there are people who are not running in fear and kowtowing, that you're finding alternate sources saying, okay, well, if you don't like this, then I've got another presentation platform.
Yep. Yeah, well, that's the way that this really needs to be handled. Keep making whatever, like if you're making a product, keep making it. And if one distributor doesn't want to distribute it, make sure that you're already talking to several others. Keep the product going, and the people that want to consume it will keep consuming it.
Yeah, because the moment that you compromise your artistic integrity, the things that you want to do, is the moment that you've already waved the white flag. You've got to be willing to, find whatever resources that you can to be able to present yourself in the way that's going to make you happy. And I am speaking legitimately to the people that raised those questions in the chat, and you already have an example in front of you of somebody who is achieving what they want to achieve. They're working hard to get what they want. They're being surrounded by people that enjoy their content, and they're producing an end product that they can be proud of. And I do have to say this real quick, because I always love to pimp other creators. Once we're off the air at 10 o'clock, I know Gulf City Theater is going to be doing a Russ Myers film, Faster Pussycat Kill Kill. If you haven't seen these guys just cut up and do their own version of Mystery Science Theater 3000, then you definitely need to check them out. Always support your creators. And I didn't ask this up front, but do you have a normal release date for your videos?
I've been a little bit flip-floppy on it. Right now, I'm releasing consistently the episodes with external cast members on Sunday for patrons and Tuesday for the public.
All right. Awesome. And please do make sure all the Beardy's links are below: the Twitter, the YouTubes, BitChute. Definitely go right now and subscribe to BitChute. And of course, if you want to throw some shekels, Streamlabs and Patreon are also available. If you guys want to support me in any way, just tell your friends. Let them know that what we're doing here is not like anything else that's being done on the internet. We want to get to know the people that we like, the people that we enjoy, the people that we support. And, if you really want to, go to my TeePublic and buy a sticker. I'm the only person who has blatantly asked and is currently ripping off both V and Mr. Medicare because they said I could. So, take that for what it's worth, because it makes me giggle that I've made a whole $4 off of Mr. Medicare.
Yeah. Thanks, Jim.
But is there anything else that you'd like to plug? Because of course we'd like to get you out of here. More than likely, you'll probably be dropping in on the Gulf City Theater.
Well, I'll be going and eating dinner first, because I didn't get around to that before I started drinking. But after that, I'll be heading to the theater. Well, I already said when the next episode is dropping. If folks are on patreon.com/thebeardbarian, they'll get access to the brand new video, The Problem with Peasants, on Sunday morning. First thing is when I'll be setting that to live for the patrons, and that'll be going out to the public on Tuesday.
Brilliant.
Aside from that, that's really it.
Well, and honestly, the 2 hours that you've shared have been gold. I really appreciate getting the backstory. You being able to lay down the fact of what makes you creative. And I think the people out there have already made the judgment that you are worthy, you are worthwhile. So keep raping and pillaging those neighborhood villages, because people are loving it. And I certainly would like to thank Nurse Wicked for doing the intro. Also would like to thank everybody for showing up in the chat tonight. And of course, the Savage Beardbarian. We're always happy to have you. You're always welcome to come back.
It's been a pleasure, mate.
Thank you. And this is DocGriffon saying thank you very much for coming out. And hopefully you've got that cure. If not, stop back next week. I got some penicillin for you.